Hello and welcome back to another video. We're going to be looking ahead to UFC 305 this Saturday night from Perth in Australia. What a main event it is. Dricus Du Plessis defending his UFC middleweight championship for the first time against former champion Israel Adesanya. Cannot wait for this one. Got Liam Tully and Jason Murphy from the Jay's Fight Talk YouTube channel with me. How are we, boys?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Boys, I cannot wait for this one. For me, arguably the biggest fight of the year, honestly. And I know that sounds silly with some of the fights that we've had so far. We've had UFC 300 this year and that kind of thing. But there's such high stakes on this one. It's South Africa versus Nigeria. We've seen them in the octagon before, you know, chops in each other. You know, it just feels different this fight week for me. I cannot wait for the press conference. Woo! I cannot wait to see them size each other up. The face-offs, you know. I'm going to throw it out to you first, Jason. You know, just give me a little bit of how you're feeling for this one.
Super, super excited. I've not been as excited for a fight week I can't remember the last time I was. I mean, I normally get excited for big fights sort of Thursday, Friday, you know, around weigh-in time. And then I'll watch the embedded sort of Friday night, right, and get really sort of hyped up. I've been hyped up for weeks on this one, and as soon as it got to fight week this week, I mean, I even got up and watched the Contender Series last night just to watch some scraps. I mean, this has been bubbling under for a while. We had the sort of race baiting issue, didn't we? You're not African. Yeah. I'm the first African champion. It started when Kamaru, Francis, and Izzy were all champions, and there was a sort of where you're not real Africans. I'm going to be the first. So there's always been niggle. Then Izzy were going to fight him next. He lost to Strickland. Izzy was ringside, cage side. He beat Strickland. Here we are. I couldn't be more excited if I tried it. As you said, Sam, it's got to be up there for one of the, if not the most anticipated fight of the year. It's up there for fight of the year for me.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think Israel's got the opportunity to become a 3-time middleweight champion, I believe, with this fight. It's his 11th. I think I've calculated that right. 11th UFC championship fight in a row, which is staggering. You put that you put that into context as well. I think DDP's won all 7 of his UFC fights. So you know, somebody's unbelievable records are going down here. What do you think, Liam?
I agree. I'm with you, boys. It's the most excited I've been for a numbered UFC card this year by an absolute mile. I think we could have had this fight 18 months to.
We'll kick in, Jason. He may have lost connection, but yeah, you know, this fight's been in the making for me for 2 or 3 years now. You know, DDP's been on a tear. People laughed at him. People said his technique was awful. You know, Darren Till ran him close not so long ago. But the man's a serial winner. The man knows how to win fights, and that's an unbelievable skill to have.
There was the big talk about his cardio and his herky-jerky style, and he did have issues with his nasal cavity.
He's had an operation, hasn't he?
I've had the same operation, so I know exactly how it helps you. You know, my cardio has never been the greatest, but what I meant in terms of extra additional cardio, being able to just breathe, not having to fight with your mouth open, you know, and not having to fight within himself because he's got a lack of cardio. He's now got fully functioning nose. And let's be real, he's battered everybody that he's fought pretty much. I know Darren Till gave him a bit of a fight, but he soon turned that round and got rid of him. He dispatched Robert Whittaker like there's only Izzy that's ever done that.
That was a serious performance. That put him on the map, that Robert Whittaker performance, most definitely.
I think because of what's been said between these two, this fight was inevitable with or without a belt. The fact that it's with a belt is just a cherry on the cake for me. It's the kind of fight that people want to see. You know, there'll be people that are not necessarily hardcore MMA fans that will watch this fight, if not live, certainly on a rerun, because I anticipate it not being a boring fight.
Definitely. I think we got Liam back now. I've heard as well South African rugby team are playing in Perth before that as well. So I believe there's going to be a real kind of partisan crowd inside the arena too, which is going to be great. We got you back, Liam. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm back now. Sorry about that, boys. Yeah, I've heard what you guys have been saying. Can't help but agree with it. I think Dricus has progressed through his UFC career. He may not be the most exciting fighter for a casual to watch, but what he does, he's very effective at doing. He finds a way to win fights. He beats Robert Whittaker, like we say, in a way we've only seen Izzy do. How he nullified the strengths with Sean Strickland back in January to win the belt. That was a 5-round performance that he just kept going through the levels and getting better as the fight went on, which maybe people didn't expect, as we've mentioned with his cardio issues in the past. He came on strong and he was there for the 5 rounds. He looked like he could have carried on if the fight was longer than the 25 minutes. My big concern in this fight, looking from an Izzy point of view, is he was emotionally invested against Adesanya. He had that massive dip off against Strickland's. And let's be honest, that did not look like the Izzy we've seen over the last 2-3 years of this incredible run. And now he's again very emotionally charged, very emotionally hyped up for this fight. Yeah. If he can't balance his emotions with what he needs to do in the octagon, then Dricus is going to, for me, walk through him and finish him.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. So the variable in this fight is Sean Strickland. They both fought him in their last fight. Dricus won, Izzy didn't. Like you say, really good point on Adesanya. You know, emotionally charged against Pereira, lost, channeled that all in for the rematch. You know, back against the wall. You know, waited for Pereira, almost rope-a-doped him into it, and then just nailed him with one shot, knocked him out. For me, Israel Adesanya, I'm going to start with the predictions and I'll come to you, boys. For me, Israel Adesanya performs at his best when his back's against the wall. He had the fight of the year against Kelvin Gastelum. Nobody gave him a hope in that first fight against Robert Whittaker. Okay, maybe I'm over-egging it there, but for me, Robert Whittaker was a deserved favourite into that fight. Yeah. People were writing off Izzy. He hasn't fought anybody. Robert Whittaker's too good, so on and so forth. He went, like you say, Liam, dispatched him in 2 rounds, absolutely destroyed Robert Whittaker. The Poatan first fight in MMA, lost. You know, he was ahead, granted, into the 5th round, but Poatan got to him in the end. In the second fight in MMA, it was, he's not going to win. His back was against the wall, and then he gets the job done. However, like you said, in the Strickland fight, he probably didn't want to have the fight. There's probably not that much in it for him. He's had that real high from the Poatan rematch, and then he has to go and try and get up for the Sean Strickland fight. Clearly demotivated, clearly not up for it. I don't think you can read too much into that performance. I think he's going to be very well rested into this one. I believe you're going to get the best performance of Israel Adesanya's career in this fight. I believe he knocked Dricus Du Plessis out on Saturday night. What do we think, Jason?
Ooh, wow. Flip-flopping. So I've spoke to you off camera, and we've spoke on social media. I bought into this emotionally charged, and he was angry, and he was going to make DDP pay. I think he's too clever for that. I think he's possibly selling us all a red herring. I think he's making us all think that he's emotionally. It will have emotions will play a part in some way, shape, or form. But I think he's too professional to fight on pure emotion alone. I think, and I don't believe his coach Eugene Berryman, who's a fantastic coach and has a good stable of fighters. I don't think he'll allow him to not fight to sort of instruction within reason. I think if Izzy turns up, he beats DDP. My only concern is, can he keep him off him for 5 rounds? Dricus' wrestling and grappling is up there with some of the best. I mean, he threw Robert Whittaker around like a rag doll. Robert Whittaker's an Olympic level wrestler. He threw his takedown attempts off like a baby, slung him around. But I do think that Izzy beats him. I'm going to go Adesanya points.
Okay, Liam?
Similar to Jason, I've been flip-flopping. I thought Izzy too emotionally charged. Is it going to bite him on the backside? But he's a clever fighter. He channeled that in the right way in the second fight in MMA against Pereira. For me, if he turns up, he confuses Dricus, he makes him look silly, and he stops him in the 3rd, 4th round, I think. But if the similar Izzy that we saw against Strickland's there, then Du Plessis is more than capable of making it a boring fight for the casuals to watch. But as MMA purists, probably something we'd enjoy to see, and he'll win it on points. But getting off the fence, I'd say Izzy's going to stop him 3rd, 4th round.
Yeah, interesting. So we're fairly easy win over here, but you know, would not be surprised at all if Dricus Du Plessis even won by knockout. It's just one of them fights for me. It's as good as the 50-50 as you can possibly get. Cannot wait for this one, guys. Thank you as always, Liam, Jason, for coming on. Do not miss this UFC 305 in Perth on Saturday night in Australia. It is going to be phenomenal. High stakes at middleweight. Cheers, boys.